Well, hello there everyone. You've tuned in uxwbill. And in today's video, I thought we'd see what it might take to awaken my 1993 Chevrolet Caprice Classic station wagon from its slumber in the garage. The last time I drove it was probably sometime in late December, early January. And while it's typically a rule of mine not to take that car out in the wintertime because I really don't want it getting any more of a dose of road salt than it's already had, it turns out that station wagons are unusually convenient when one needs to transport a grandmother's clock to have the works in it repaired. Unfortunately, that does mean the car got something of a dose of salt. I did try to clean it off at the time, but I don't know how well that actually worked. Now that it's springtime though, and we've had a couple of good rains, I think it's safe enough to take the car out. And as luck would have it, today was a particularly rainy day, assuring that not only would the roads be pretty well flushed free of whatever salt they might have had on them, but also the car itself as it drove through the rain. And as luck would have it, after I did get it going, I happened to drive through a downpour. So much so, in fact, that even on the high setting, the car's windshield wipers were having a lot of trouble keeping up. But it never gave me any grief, and we made it home just fine. It's back in the garage now, and it's as happy as it can be. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's see what it took to get the old car going. I think there's something funny going on with my battery charger. I'm not totally certain, but I'm wondering if maybe it doesn't have a leaky or shorted rectifier diode. Because one thing I've noticed is that there seems like there might be an AC component, an AC waveform riding on the DC output. You can hear a sort of 60 cycle hum, and you can feel it in the end of the cable here. Hear that when I wiggle it? Not supposed to do that. And I've also noticed that things like the car's chime module produce an output that suggests there's an AC component riding on the DC output of the charger if you listen very carefully here. You hear that sort of gritty noise in the seatbelt chime? It's not supposed to be like that. Granted, that battery charger's been through an awful lot, and the diodes inside those things take an enormous beating, especially as you just saw with it in the 200 amp boost mode, at which point its output voltage falls down to about 7.2. That's the best it can manage, and certainly far less than that when a big old starter on a small block Chevrolet 350 like this one is pulling on it. Here, for comparison's sake, is a little tiny battery charger that I know to be working correctly. And because these things frequently have next to no filtering on their output, I've gone ahead and hooked it up to a handy lawn tractor battery. And you can see that there is essentially no, or at least a negligible, AC component out there. Just a little tiny bit of one. Now we'll compare it to the other charger. This particular scope meter supports being placed into AC coupled mode, which means it will ignore the DC component of the signal being output by the charger or the voltage being output by the charger. Here we're looking at an alternating current waveform. And make of that what you might. seats are certainly warm enough. And the air being thrown off by that engine fan. Well, as B. Westlife would say, it is definitely a caution fan, and they don't call it that for nothing.